Well, New Japan Pro Wrestling's road to new beginning has just begun. They just did two shows at Kourekan Hall. All of that will be reviewed, discussed, and talked about on this episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome, everybody, to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling from AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, matches, wrestlers, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you guys have noticed now, we're reviewing New Japan's latest tour, The Road to New Beginnings. So, basically, we have a couple of shows of New Beginnings in Hiroshima and a few other places, which is a really good tour to watch. They just had many of their shows right now in Kourekan Hall. But I failed to mention something that I did not mention in Kourekan Hall for Dragon Gate from a few days ago. Apparently, there was from what both commentators mentioned, Kevin Kelly, who was flying solo, and also the guy who was doing the English commentary in Dragon Gate. I failed to mention both of their shows were short. Reason behind that, due to the pandemic and rising, they decided to set up a curfew at 8 p.m. Japanese time, and that's why some of their events, if you guys have or haven't noticed, it was completely short. So I'm not complaining about it because they had some good shows when I saw this on at the Dragon Gate, but also with this one with New Japan, The Road to New Beginning, which I'm excited about. So I think it's time for me to shut up and start reviewing the first day of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Road to New Beginning. Okay, so we're now in the first day of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Road to New Beginning that started on January 17th, which is a Sunday. This took place at Kourekan Hall, which is a real awesome place. I hope one day if I make a road trip to Japan, I would love to see this place, or perhaps attend it, depending on how things go for me if I ever make the plan. Now, the first match that they had was the United Empire, consistent of the Great Okan and, of course, Will Ospreay being accompanied by B. Priestley, taking on Yota Tsuji and Satoshi Kojima. Now, Satoshi has been looking for retribution for what the Great Okan did to his friend. I'm talking about Hiroyoshi Tenzan, who is out due to the injury, but he decided to take his matter in his own hands against the Great Okan and Will Ospreay. Um, both men were unable to find success in their new in Wrestle Kingdom, but so far the United Empire continued to be a strong force to be reckoned, even if Jeff Cobb wasn't there. B. Priestley did not interfere for whatsoever, but it did allow for the show that the Empire, the United Empire, are stronger than ever, despite that they lost. So let's move on to the next one. This one was a very interesting match. We had Bullet Club members Yato, Geto, Taiji Shimuri, and El Fantasmo taking on Suzuki-gun members leader Minoru Suzuki, Doiki, El Desperado, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. Now, there's been a lot of controversy with with Suzuki-gun members, especially the junior heavyweight contenders like Kanemaru and Desperado. They claim that El Fantasmo has something in his foot, in his shoes, when he does the super kick. Now, I can say, it's true, we have seen Bullet Club try to be sneaky try to find ways to win without noticing it. But however, there's no proof of that. But anything's possible, and that's the whole thing. But the match was very interesting, but it did kind of ask a very interesting question. Does this mean we could see Desperado and Kanemaru lose their titles in New Beginnings against Taiji Ishimori and El Fantasma? Well, that is something I'm willing to see and wait. What happens? Because it was El Fantasma who picked up the victory for his team. Or is it Taiji Ishimori? Well, that's true. I can't remember what of those two won, but it did made a statement that they're ready to take them on head on. Next match, more members of Bullet Club. We have Dick Togo, Yujiro Takahashi, and Evil taking on Chaos members Tomohiro Ishii, Hiroki Goto, and Kaguchika Okada. Now you probably ask yourselves, why are why are they facing them if there's no story? Well, from a very different perspective, Okada hasn't forgotten what happened the last time he confronted Evil at the New Japan Cup last year. So there's speculation that maybe he's going after him because he low blowed him, you know, during the match to allow him to win the New Japan Cup in order to fight Naito for both championships. So, but however, this match really was a very interesting because you got not only Okada, but he has two of the toughest guys in his team, Ishii and Goto. Two guys that he knows he can count on, that they can pull off a win no matter what. And that's how they won. Two of the toughest individuals within Chaos help him win the match. Next match, we have LIJ members Tetsuya Naito, Shingo, and Sanada taking on Tomoaki Honma, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Kota Ibushi. Now, as you know, four people from this match, two from LIJ, two with the other team. Shingo has challenged Hiroshi Tanahashi for the Never Openweight Championship at New Beginning, which is kind of very interesting to see. And of course, we all know Sanada is the next challenger to face Kota Ibushi for the double championship. And of course, there is still the obvious question with Kota Ibushi. He talked about in the post interview that he did after his match at Wrestle Kingdom, where he said he would like to unify both titles to be defended as one. Now, it's still unclear whether if that's going to be possible. We have seen something like this before with WWE when they had the two titles and then they mix them into one. And that is something we have seen. And of course, we've seen with the WWE with the WWE Championship, and then there's the Universal Championship, which I thought Universal maybe, but I'm kind of curious to see when that happens. But the match kind of made a statement with Lij because, as you know, Sonata is determined to win the title because that's his goal right now. We know Tetsuya Naito has already faced for those titles before, but now it's Sonata's turn. But the real question is, will Sonata be able to take those titles from Ibushi? We don't know, but he did make a statement in this particular match. Now the main event on this one was the best of the junior heavyweights. We got Master Wato teaming up with Chaos member and Roppongi 3K member Sho taking on Lij members Bushi and Minoru Hiromu Takahashi. Now, if you guys don't know this, Bushi challenged Master Wato for New Beginning since everybody, with the exception of Naito, they all have something to do. So Bushi challenges Master Wato. But as for Hiromu, he chosen Sho to be the next competitor for his IWGP Junior Heavyweight title, which it could be a good thing for Sho because will be the first time where he's competing as a singles competitor since his tag team partner of Roppongi 3K is out of action due to injury. So we don't know when Yo will be back, but let's just wait and see if this could be the year where Show captures the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. But the match was great. I did like the combination between both Yo and Wado. Reason is, these two guys are not part of the same faction, but they do have a common goal. These guys are facing guys that they're going to face down the line in new beginnings in Hiroshima, I think. But the best part is how this match ended, is allowing for Master Wato to pin Bushi, and that's the last thing Bushi needs, is to be pinned by a guy like Master Wato. And I have to say this: Master Wato has a bright future. Maybe we could see him down the line as well, becoming a junior heavyweight uh, champion. That is something cool. And of course, there's a moment where Bushi was crying like a little baby that he can't believe that happened. So I think that's it for now for this one. So let's talk with the second day of New Beginnings, Road to New Beginning. Okay, so we got New Japan's Road to New Beginnings on the 18th of January. This one was a very interesting match. Some matches were similar from the previous. Now, in this one, the first match, we got the United Empire, Great-O-Khan, and Will Ospreay alongside with B. Priestley taking on Satoshi Kojima again, but this time his partner of the night was Yuya Umura. Now, he might have thought maybe this could be the edge he needed to face him, but however, it wasn't enough. But it did show Yuya Umura he was being tough as nails, trying to deal with a guy like Great-O-Khan. We all know this guy, what he's capable of, but it wasn't enough. So the United Empire once again won and made another statement to the entire New Japan locker room. Next match, we have once again Bullet Club members Yado, Geto, El Fantasmo, and Taiji Shimori taking on Suzuki members Suzuki, Doiki, Desperado, and Kanemaru. But this time, this one was a lot more different. Minoru Suzuki-gun went straight ahead to attack Bullet Club, payback from the day before. But of course, you got to ask yourself this question: did El Fantasmo had something in his shoe? That is yet to be told. But however, the match ended in the favor where, of course, El Desperado put Geto in his submission move, making him the tap out. So basically, this time, Kanemaru is sending a message to El Fantasmo and Taiji Shimori that they're not going to tolerate with them. They think they can. They always claim no one has able to beat them. But however, we'll see what happens because you don't know Ishimori and El Fantasma what they can do. But we may see that. Next match. Once again, Bullet Club members Yujiro, Dick Togo, and Evil taking on Chaos members, but this time Okada and Ishii remain, so they added Yoshihashi, which is a good thing. Now, you probably ask yourselves, why did they put Yoshihashi? Well, come on. He knows what he's doing. He can trust them. Besides, Ishii and Yoshihashi are two-thirds of the never openweight six-man champions. And that's, in my opinion, it's a good thing. But it did show a lot of character in this particular match because it did show how Chaos is still united as ever, regardless of everything that happened. But Okada knows for a fact he still needs to deal with Evil because he hasn't forgotten what happened the last time. I'm talking about the New Japan Cup debacle that took place last year. But it did allow for Chaos to win this match and reminded Evil that he's coming for him. Next match, it's LIJ members Hiromu Takahashi, Tetsuya Naito, and Sanada taking on Tomoaki Honma, Sho, and Kota Ibushi. So basically, a little bit of the change up on this one. If you recall, in the last trios, we had Tanahashi and Shingo in it, but this time they were mixed up in the main event for that particular match. But this one was no different than any other match. Only difference is you got two of each team, two heavyweights and a junior heavyweight. It's kind of like similarities with the never openweight six-man championship. But Lij actually won this one, and of course, it was Sonata who put uh, Tomoaki Humna in the skull end and giving a message to Kota Ibushi. But the real question that Kevin Kelly did mention, will Sonata agree that both titles should be unified? Well, that's another answer. We can wait and see what he says. Now the main event, we got Master Wato teaming up with the Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, taking on Lij members Bushi and Shingo Tagaki. Now this was a very interesting match. I've always pictured maybe one day we get to see Master Wato as the ace of the junior heavyweight division, because the only ace we ever had in New Japan was Kushida, but sadly he's in the NXT brand in WWE. But we'll see what happens with that. It was a good match to see. There were various moments where you're not sure what's gonna happen in this particular match, because Shingo, he's one of the most strongest individuals. So he made the never open weight championship to be what it is now. But Bushi, he's determined to take on Master Wato at any cost, even though it was no championship. It's more like, I challenge you for whatever, that type of thing. But the best way this match ended is where Hiroshi Tanahashi took out Bushi and the flop on him, making him the pin. But the post match was so funny, is where you get the double air guitar between both Master Wato and Tanahashi. I thought it was a pretty good way to close off the night, because we all know, if I mentioned this earlier, they had a curfew they had to do. So I think that's pretty much it with New Japan, with the road of new beginnings. That tour will still continue on. I will be doing more of these uh, on the continuation of tour, but stand by more with Tuesday Wrestling, the Wednesday Night War, and of course more of the Japanese promotion. The next ones on that, I got two events from DDT and two events from another promotion I've heard of, but I never actually seen a full show. I only seen small clips of them, and I'm talking about Big Japan Pro Wrestling. So, and I think we got another Japanese episode where I talk about DDT and Tokyo Yoshi Pro Wrestling. But however, the added on this one is going to be a very unique promotion, Just Tap Out Promotion, which is run by none other than Taka Michinoku. So I think that's pretty much it on that front. So I must bid all of you guys adieu. So goodbye. Mwah, and have a nice day. Bang.